I got to get Harry Litman's take on this, whether he thinks this was a surprising move by Special Counsel Jack Smith. I mean, Harry Litman, former top federal prosecutor, and you and I had been discussing what is Donald Trump going to do with the Mar-A-Lago document case, with which Judge Eileen Cannon dismissed on the most specious and spurious of grounds, saying that special counsels are unconstitutional and can't exist, despite the fact that special counsels have existed. The Supreme Court has found that they're able to exist. Hunter Biden was prosecuted by a special counsel. When Hunter Biden's lawyers tried to challenge their special counsel, the judge was like, what are you talking about? Of course, special counsels can exist. But Judge Cannon, Trump's pick, corrupt Judge Cannon, she was like, no, special counsels can't exist. So that's on appeal before the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, which oversees the district court judges in Florida. Now, Jack Smith had options here, right, Harry? He could have dismissed the appeal, just filed the dismissal, because it's already dismissed from Judge Cannon, the same way Jack Smith dismissed and got rid of the Washington, D.C. and requested that the D.C. Criminal case get dismissed. But Jack Smith didn't do that, and it may have seemed procedural in nature to just an observer who reads the notice. But I think there was more impactful meaning behind what Jack Smith's actually doing here, perhaps buying some time for the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals to either rule before inauguration about what their perspective is on the existence of a special counsel within the 11th Circuit Court of Appeal case law, or kind of sticking it to the new DOJ under Trump, where that DOJ is potentially going to rely on special counsels. So you're kind of setting a trap and you're putting them in a corner. Are they going to take the position that special counsels don't exist when they may need to rely on special counsels as well? So just show everybody the notice, Harry, quickly. It looks fairly rote, just whatever. Pursuant to Federal Rule of Appellate Procedure 27 and the 11th Circuit Rule, the United States of America moves to withdraw from this case the attorney, Jay Bratt, Dave Harbach, James Pierce, John Pelletieri, Cecil Van Devendere. Those attorneys are associated with the Special Counsel's Office, which initiated the criminal prosecution, which this appeal arose. The special counsel has now referred this case to the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Florida, which has separately entered an appearance. In other words, good luck. I mean, who knows? Maybe,
good luck and thanks for all the fish.
Right? Who knows? Maybe they file a dismissal. I don't know what they're going to do, but I think you have insight into this as a former top federal prosecutor, fourth floor guy of the D.C. branch, meaning you were at the top of the top at the DOJ. Tell us, Harry, what do you make of all this?
Yeah. And although I think my experience that's more germane here, Ben, is actually as being a U.S. attorney in an office, because you put your finger on the impact and the interesting dynamic that this sets up. And I'll talk about it in a minute. But when the fact that a special counsel leaving would turn over a case to a U.S. attorney, that's totally standard and by the book. Remember, the big thing here is, unlike the D.C. case, there are two other defendants. The two guys who allegedly did the dirty work for Trump and Trump ordered around, Carlos de Oliveira and Walt Nauta, who made the calculation that seems to have actually, come up with royal flush. We'll just stay with Trump. We won't cooperate, even though it was a total situation where they should have, you would think. But in fact, that they stuck with them. Now you have to expect that he's going to pardon them. It'll be a classic, not corrupt and unnecessary unconstitutional pardon, but a cronyist pardon of the sort that would raise eyebrows throughout history, but Trump gets away with. But now there's the case. It's not just the defendants, they're still in there, but what happens to the case? Because you've put your finger on it. You have this the ruling from Judge Cannon that would disable them from using special counsels going forward. because it's Jack Smith still is the one who brought the charges against Nalta and De Oliveira. And it's going to be super interesting. Imagine now January 20th. And Trump's guy, John Sawyer, becomes the Solicitor General. Trump wants to pardon these guys. But he also has committed, at least in the past, to loving Eileen Cannon's holding that would, in effect, disable the Department of Justice from appointing special counsels when there's a conflict. And, a Department of Justice wants to be able to do that for public confidence, and a Donald Trump with his reprisal ideas is maybe going to be wanting to do that. And for now, they've got this problem, which is at least within the Southern District of Florida, in this little duchy, maybe in the 11th Circuit, the law says, there's no authority for them. The authorities you're relying under don't cut it. Now, it's totally in the Department of Justice's interest to get that reversed. It's totally, as you've said, a outlying opinion that flies in the face of every other court, including the U.S. Supreme Court. So a logical conversation to have, even with the Donald Trump come January 20th, is, boss, let's let this ride for a few weeks, and hopefully the 11th Circuit will do something that is in the interest of the government overall, and then you can pardon your two guys. But, Trump won't even understand that concept. And, he'll say, what? No, I want, if this is bad for DOJ, it's good for the new administration. I want to have the Eileen Cannon principle put into law, or made the most of that you can. The most that you can is have it still around to cause trouble, at least in Florida. Now, eventually, that's a kind of conflict that might work its way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. But the interesting point is Trump's antipathy toward the department generally and special counsels specifically, and B, his desire to pardon his loyal servants who, if you believe by the allegations, broke the law but kept quiet about it. One even went up and first lied to the prosecutors up in D.C. That is pitted directly against. He's now got the reins of the government, and I'm sorry, the government's interest is in having that ruling reversed. So how will there's going to be dozens and dozens of things like this where his personal, nasty, small-minded preferences will come into conflict with what, if you're thinking sensibly for half a second, you've got to understand are the broader interests of the federal government going forward. How will something like that be kind of negotiated in the Donald Trump Department of Justice, where we already know the Supreme Court has said he has free reign to go in and mess with them as much as he wants. That's core executive power, even though it would have been inconceivable for other presidents to do it. So that's what's going to make it very interesting. That it's in the U.S. Attorney's Office, that's what you do with cases when a special counsel steps aside. But how does the department handle the personal Donald Trump issue of pardoning these guys as against the clear institutional issue of getting Eileen Cannon's decision that goes against the ongoing interests of the DOJ reversed?
So, Harry, you're saying the advice that Trump would be getting from DOJ official or from his White House counsel would be the smartest thing you can do here, because we need to rely on special counsels, is you actually need to lose, Donald. The 11th Circuit's likely going to reverse Judge Cannon.
That's right.
They'll find that special counsels were okay, but then the case gets dismissed anyway by us because we're the Department of Justice. So the case
or you can pardon them if you want, boss. Your guys will still get taken care of, right?
So let's just have the 11th Circuit do the thing, and then Trump's view. Well, look, Judge Cannon was very loyal to me. She did what she was supposed to do. I don't want to make her, and why would I do that? Why would I want to lose? I don't want to lose. Dismiss this thing. And then the question ultimately becomes now, what happens if there's a scenario where a Trump DOJ is trying to appoint a special counsel. And you now argue, hey, the position of the Trump administration is that they've affirmed Cannon's ruling by taking this position that they weren't going to challenge it. And so now we shouldn't have a special counsel. It at least provides that, that argument to be made. But Harry,
more than that, Ben. If now it's in California, so they can do it. But it goes directly against what happened in, say, Florida, the defendant in such a case, and it would be a high-profile defendant, right? That's when you'd have a special counsel, will be all over them about the inconsistency, and it'll tie things up in knots. The judge who that case is in front of will be, what the hell, DOJ, where you're talking out of both sides of your mouth.
There you have it. Well, stay tuned, everybody. But it was a decision that Jack Smith clearly made and intentionally to pass the buck along for the reasons that we just outlined. Everybody, make sure you subscribe to the Talking Feds YouTube channel, the Talking Feds podcast, the Talking Feds Substack. It's where I get my legal news from. Harry, thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Hey, Meidas Mighty. Love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.